The reason why I care so much about food phobic myths online is because I used to buy into them. And worse, I helped spread them. And I was wrong. It's not easy to admit that you were wrong, but how did I get it so wrong in the first place? At the time, I was entering the wellness community as a content creator and, dare I say, influencer. Way back in 2011, I both had what I viewed as success following a restrictive diet, and that made me adamant that that was the best way to eat. It wasn't. And I was also sold by the logic and scientific citations of people I viewed as really credible, scientific researchers and doctors. And I learned from them this way of thinking about food, where if you can identify a compound in that food that is problematic for one biological system, right? A single compound that increases inflammation or negatively impacts the gut microbiome, that you then write off that entire food as problematic for the entire body. There's two problems here. One is just because one compound in food is harmful in one specific circumstance does not mean the whole food is bad for the whole us. And you really have to look at scientific studies that evaluate consumption of the whole food, not animal and cell culture studies looking at the isolated compound. Because you can apply this way of thinking to all foods. Every single food is going to have one compound in it that's not good. What we need to know is if you're compensated by a wealth of nutrients that are. And this is why food phobic myths have gotten completely out of hand on the internet. Why, depending on who you're talking to, every single food is full of toxins. It's taken years for me to unlearn this way of thinking and deprogram all of the food value judgments I made through that way of thinking. It's been hard work, and the hardest part is admitting you were wrong, which I was, about a lot of it. But that's my origin story. I wish I could say there was one eureka moment that made me realize how wrong that way of thinking is, the logical fallacy in it. But the reality is it was years of slowly expanding my criteria for evaluating foods, leaving that particular diet behind, building something new with Nutrivore. And now as I look back, I can see that I was part of the problem, which means now I'm extra committed to being part of the solution. You don't need to be afraid of food.